Tom Burnett, Commissioner of the Southland Conference and Chairman of the NCAA Men's Basketball Committee. As we sit here on the precipice of an NCAA tournament that I guess the most satisfying thing from your perspective now is for the first time in 3 years we're getting back to normal with an NCAA championship this year.
You know, that's a great point, Lenny. You know, we've got all the policies and procedures in place to select, seed, bracket the teams. That's going to take its natural due course. That's going to happen. It's the other stuff. It's the normal stuff. You know, getting back together in person, being able to have fans in the arena, having all the other ancillary events around. That's been a major theme of our committee this year, is to get the tournament back on track and on course like we used to know it and like it should be going forward. So, you know, we have to understand there's still a pandemic and there's still going to be some restrictions here, maybe perhaps in New Orleans and at other sites, but we're going to deal with that, and I think we've learned how to deal with it, and with more vaccinations, more boosters, we think it's going to be a more open, normal event, if you want to call it normal.
More open, seems like this is a wide open field. Obviously, as part of your job, you've got to pay a lot of attention to what goes on because you and the fellow members of the committee are going to pick the field of 68, which will be revealed on Selection Sunday. Everybody will be sitting there, pencils in hand, ready to start filling out their brackets. And it really is. I mean, you know, last year you had an undefeated Gonzaga sitting there, but this year it seems very wide open in that you could have any number of teams that you're handing that trophy to on the first Monday in April here in New Orleans.
Yeah, I think you're right. And when we went through selection orientation earlier, we kind of realized that ourselves, and we've kind of seen it. You know, there's a group of, you know, at least a dozen teams, maybe a little bit more than that we could possibly be handing the trophy to on that Monday night here in New Orleans. So it is kind of wide open. You know, you still have some of your Gonzagas and some of the other blue bloods, the Kentuckys, Dukes, a lot of teams like that have had great seasons, and you know, just looking forward to having a wonderful event with great teams here. And that's the Final Four never fails. I mean, it works out well, and we're going to have a great show.
Take us for a minute inside the room and the process of what goes on, because it is a several-day process that finally gets you to that reveal on the Sunday evening when we all learn who's in the field and where they're going and who they're playing.
Well, I will tell you, maybe the first thing that struck me when I joined the committee in 18 was really the integrity in the room. And, you know, we've got a process where you've got to check your allegiances at the door. We're assigned other conferences. We can't be involved with conversations about our own teams or conferences if you're a commissioner like myself. So you want to get it right, because I will tell you, as a conference commissioner, before I joined the committee, I just wanted to make sure the committee got us right. And I feel a great obligation to do that for all the other conferences as well. So we've got to do our due diligence. It starts in November, obviously. It will really ramp up here toward the end and such. And it's been a personal honor, a great privilege to you know, be considered for the committee, number one, and certainly to be as chair, and then to wrap things up here in New Orleans. It's great. But the committee room is not a secret chamber like some people might think it is. It's some really great people working very hard to get this right.
You mentioned at the press conference here as we get the countdown going towards the Final Four here back in New Orleans for a sixth time, that this is really home for you. You're a Louisiana native, spent a lot of time in New Orleans before your current job at the Southland. To get a chance to be the chair in a year when the Final Four is in New Orleans, I guess the stars just aligned for you?
Well, I think so. And, you know, you've mentioned that, to come back home, and this is where I got started with NCAA events. You got to go way back to like the 1990 Southeast Regional at the Dome, where I was doing something on the staff. I can't even remember, but I just wanted to be a part of it and be around this event. And you know, it's just kind of it's really, I'm lost for words to be the chair of this group that now oversees it. There's so many wonderful, much more accomplished administrators that have done this before me, but it's just a real, you know, personal privilege, as I mentioned, and to do it back at home certainly is the cherry on top.
When you get to Monday night and you get to hand that trophy to the championship team, have you kind of envisioned what that moment is going to be like? Obviously, we know it's special for the team that you're handing it to, but this is the culmination of 5 years of work as part of this very special event.
Well, I haven't allowed myself to get too caught up in that, but that certainly will be very special. And, you're at the pinnacle of what we do in college athletics. This is the premier event, and, the entire world is watching as well. It's a great international event as well. So just that moment and being involved with that joyous occasion is probably going to be something. I'm not sure it'll be completely overwhelming, but I'm sure it'll be a moment.
And along the same lines, your run as commissioner of the Southland Conference will end as well with the Final Four. What's next for Tom Burnett?
Well, it's a great question. My wife was asking me that just yesterday. So, there's something ahead for us. And, I've had a great 19-year run. I think we've really moved the needle in the Southland Conference. Obviously, we've gone through realignment, continue to do that. So that's a bit of a challenge. But when you think about the future of the conference, I was really in a position where I thought that we needed new leadership. Chris Grant is our new incoming commissioner. He's going to do a wonderful job, and I'm going to consult him for a number of months after the changeover. So I'm just excited about the next 5, 10, 20 years of this conference and under Chris's leadership, and I'll be there to support him all the way.
Well, best of luck through this process as we'll end up here on April 4th in New Orleans, and we look forward to seeing just how this unfolds and to get a little bit of normalcy back in our lives.
Absolutely. Thank you, Lenny.